Hello everyone and welcome to Mimic Minis. Today I'm going to show you how I made this custom Terminator captain and take you through the process step by step, so stick around. I've always been inspired by the Gabriel Angela statue from Prime 1 Studios. I mean, that pose is just incredible. Ever since I saw it, I've wanted to create a Terminator captain with the same kind of presence and stance. So what I usually do to plan out a project like this is to create a mock-up in Photoshop with different pictures of miniatures that have specific features or poses or parts I need. For this I chose Belial as the main miniature, since I thought it had the perfect shape and pose to work with. Then I used the Space Marine captain in Terminator armor, and the Stormcast Annihilator. I used the Terminator captain for the chest piece and left shoulder pad, and then the arms and hammer from the Annihilator. These three key pieces gave me the silhouette and pose I was aiming for. Here's a sketch of the final result of the build. Now that I had a clear idea of what I wanted to do, I started by comparing different pieces and their dimensions, checking which parts could fit together, especially making sure the torsos were roughly the same size. After that, it was finally time to start working on the model, cleaning up the pieces by removing mold lines, sanding them, and gluing everything together to begin building the main body. One important thing I wanted to change was the chest piece. I wanted it to be exposed instead of having the cloth that Belial wears, so I carefully cut away part of his chest and tried to fit the torso from the other Terminator captain. After that, I attached the chest piece to the rest of the body and began removing some of the Dark Angel specific elements. I knew I needed some kind of ornament above his head, so I toyed around with a few ideas, but nothing really clicked, so I set it aside for now and shifted my focus to the shoulder. And with it was just a matter of cutting, testing and adjusting until it finally fit the way I wanted. Now I'll show you what I did with the arms and the hammer. I also added some extra details to push the look further into that 40k aesthetic and move away from the Age of Sigmar feel. The Stormcast Annihilators have a big symbol on the arm, so I cut it down and set it to make them more like a Terminator arm. I also wanted to change the weapon a bit, so I added an Imperial Aquila to the hammer and started to drill a hole on the arm to add a tiny skull later. As you can see, the upper set feels much more in line with the 40k aesthetic compared to the lower one. Now I needed a way to make the arms fit naturally to the body. So I cut the elbow from the Terminator captain and carved out some space for it to slot in properly. With some green stuff, I stuffed the inside of the body to give it more mass and to have some kind of surface I could use to sculpt the tabard later on. I've wanted to give this character an angelic feel, so I knew that adding a holy piece above his head was the answer. Then it hit me. After experimenting with a sheriff miniature I had lying around, I thought, what if I made a giant winged skull above his head? I first tried it with the regular skull, but then I experimented with the one from the Black Templar's kit and yeah, I think it fits perfectly. It was now time to fill some areas with Milliput to give it a cleaner look. After it dries, I smoothed it out with sandpaper to make everything nice and even. Since the headpiece rests on a small surface, it needed extra support to stay in place. I pinned it with a paper clip to ensure a strong bond and prevented it from coming off easily. It was just a matter of cutting the pin to the right length so it fit perfectly into the hole. I also thought it would be cool to add a book and a skeletal hand on his hip. Just a small detail, but it really adds character. Now I wanted something original for the face, and when I say original, I mean a headpiece that doesn't already exist. I wanted his face to feel unique, so I chose a Terminator head with a breathing mask and decided to make it look battle-worn, filled with scars and tubes. I've always loved illustrations where the heads are filled with pipes and mechanical details. It has such a gritty, awesome style that I really enjoy. So that's exactly what I went for. So I finally started working on the base. I thought it would be cool to add some elevation to avoid a flat look, and I definitely wanted to include some skulls. I'm thinking of painting it like a Martian desert or something similar. I will decide later. It's time to start sculpting the tabard. I used green stuff and tried to mimic the natural folds it would make over the belt. Patience is key here. I only stopped when I was truly satisfied with the result. In the end, this is what I came up with, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I applied a coat of Milliput to make it more smooth, and then started pinning the arms to the body. There was still one thing bothering me. The hammer still looked too much like a Stormcast Annihilator weapon, and I wanted it to feel more like a proper Space Marine Thunder Hammer. Since this captain belongs to a Salamander successor chapter I'm building, I took inspiration from Vulcan's hammer and started experimenting with the lizardman head I had lying around. In the end, I decided to go for a spiked shape. I thought it would give the hammer a more original look while still keeping that salamander feel. Although I reworked the hammer, I felt it still lacked enough salamander iconography. To make the model stand out a bit more, I decided to give him a drake skull carapace cape. The way I approached this was by first giving the cape a tougher, worn look with cuts and holes on the inside, and then preparing it for the scales. I filled in the major folds of the cape with a 1-to-1 mixture of Milliput and green stuff to create a smooth surface for sculpting the scales one by one. The process itself was fairly simple, but definitely time-consuming. I'd place a small bit of green stuff, then press the edges until I got the size I wanted. After that, it was just a matter of shaping it here and there until I had a scale that I was happy with. Almost there. This cape took me several days to finish because I had to wait for the green stuff to fully cure before working on new sections. That way, I wouldn't risk messing up the scales I had already sculpted. Finally, I was satisfied with the result and thought it looked really cool. At least that's what I think. Now, the only thing left to do is show you the final result with some reveal shots. I hope you enjoy. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell. It really helps the channel. I've got a list of projects I want to work on and share with you, so stay tuned. Hope you liked it, and I'll see you next time. This is Mimic Minis, and thank you all for watching.